sometimes at this time of year when teams are like trying to nail down home playoffs, that sort of thing, they can get a bit edgy, a bit nervous, and obviously that would affect the execution. But the Bulls today, I mean, they went out there, especially in the first 50 minutes, and it looked like they were just having fun.
Yeah.
And that really helped the execution, didn't it?
Well, that's good, because I mean, one of the messages I said to them, we must enjoy it. We must obviously enjoy the fact that we've done well enough to give ourselves a chance to get people talk about home semi, but we've got to win the quarterfinals first, But that's the possibility of being able to not travel until the final. So I'm glad you picked that up, because that's one of the messages I gave them, Ken, is we've got to enjoy where we are. We've worked really hard as a group to set ourselves up to possibly finish second on the log, and with that obviously comes a lot of bonuses in terms of not having to travel if you keep winning until possibly the final. So yeah, and I just said to Kobus Visa outside there, you look at the 21 points, you look at how they ended up, you go, should you have been ruthless? But I think just with the injuries as well, having lost Quirson early on, I just didn't want to risk. I again, not arrogantly, I thought after 55 minutes we had done enough to win the game, and I could obviously pull the trigger quickly about replacement. So, I know you're going to ask me that question about, is it not a concern how they finished off? Obviously you want to try and put them away, but let's also be fair. The bench they brought on, I think 4 or 6 of those guys, I don't know the number, but a lot of those guys are the genuine starters of that team in the last couple of weeks. So it was a tactic, I suppose, by Matt to bring on a bench that he felt could finish up strong, and they did. They did finish up strong. So I'm glad they had fun, and I'm saying I'm glad you saw it like that, because this is also the nice time to enjoy the time of playing rugby. You want to play in these big games. You want to get yourself, the best players in the world want to be part of the biggest game. So I'm glad you picked that up.
Because Jake, you guys obviously had a bit of a week off. A lot of chat this week about Kurtley Orenson. I know how you feel about obviously having the best players here. Yeah. Sebastian had an unbelievable performance tonight. So I mean, how happy are you with our best guys leaving, but then the guys coming to standing now? How happy are you with that?
Yeah, Ronald, I'm really happy, but I'm not a development coach. I'm not here to bring people through that I can sell to other countries, or release to other clubs. So it's wonderful for him. Some would say, well, it's nice that Kurtley goes because you produce another player. I'm not in the industry of producing players. I'm in the industry of winning rugby games. And when you look at the highlights, I've been watching social media. Obviously, mates sending it to me. I'm not on it, but have you seen what he's been doing in Japan? Now, how in heaven's name, it's like giving one of the best players in the world. When he's at the peak, and I wanted that to be worded correctly as well, Ronaldo. We pay. And specifically the coaches pay school fees for these youngsters to learn and grow and put them in. And then when they're at the time where they should be, paying back, and I don't mean that, I mean paying back to the coach and to the Bulls and to the organization. You want him to be running out here every single Saturday. You don't want to be waiting every year when the contracts come up for renewal that you might be losing, because all that thing just perpetuates itself. He goes. 2 years' time, Cameron goes. 2 years' time, Jan Hendrik goes. 2 years' time, and then, hey, have you seen there's a guy that's playing at Paul Gym? I mean, I can't hear that every week, guys. So it's lovely for Sebastian, and I think it's wonderful for us as a group, because it creates pressure and competition for the jersey. But I'm never ever gonna tell you guys, let it be, and we just accept it. We're in a country where rugby is our #1 sport. We're in a country where we're producing World Cup champions, and we're in a country where our jobs as franchise coaches are under pressure. So, I'm happy for Sebastian, but geez, I would have loved to have Kurtley Orenson involved today in the 23 as well. Can you imagine?
And then just on that, there was a big story obviously this week with being Jason Dixon.
Yes.
I see obviously with Marnie Lubbock also now.
Yes.
Aren't the agents becoming a massive problem for our players in South Africa to stay in the country, because they're hearing in their ear they can sign bigger deals across the globe? So I mean, how big of a problem is that?
You and I could drink a beer and I'll give you about 3 hours of what I think is that. Agents are genuinely not worried about the player. I mean, they just want the deal. And anyone who tells me it's my client, and again, I want to turn this around, we are the client. Because if we don't pay the players, there is no deal. And so this thing about I look after my client, is it doesn't hold water when you're talking about the client is actually the unions who pay the salaries. And so, yeah, I mean, I can spend hours with you and say the agents, when they've got a mandate to be able to send players overseas and still be eligible to play for their country, it's like a freebie for them. Let's be fair.
Yeah.
Other agents in other countries can't send their players overseas because they won't be eligible to play for their country. And I talk that from experience because, Ronaldo, when I was the coach of the box, I remember agents telling me, you're killing my job because you're picking the same box side year in and year out. And remember those days was the Colpack deal where you had to play X amount of games before you go overseas. And agents would tell me when I saw them, you're killing our business because every year you pick the same 25, 30 players. And the others can't go because they're not internationals, and the ones that are, you keep picking them and they're staying here. So, I mean, I've got first-hand appreciation of the fact that, you know, when the agents have got free pass to send guys overseas, make money, and still get that player to be eligible to play for the country, then they would do it. But they're not helping the provinces. I mean, you know, I'm old enough to tell you that if Doc Late was working, he would have called a couple of agents in and said, let me tell you how it works, boys. You know, you're not going to be selling players overseas because they need to stay. Because when we negotiate deals with sponsors in our country, we need to sell them the fact that our best players are playing every week. Isn't that how business works? I mean, one of the key things that happened when they signed the Super Rugby deal was remember at that stage in 1995, there was a massive fear that all our best players were going to go and play with Murdoch and all that sort of thing. And one of the provisos of signing the Super Rugby deal was that we wouldn't send second-rate, third-rate players in comparison to the players that we had. Not for 1 minute saying the players here are second and third rate. All I'm saying is this is not the best players we can put on the field every week for 4 franchises. And I know, I mean, you guys always look at me and but I'm not gonna stop saying to you, let it be. You know, let's accept, because it's not. I'm in the job of winning rugby games, and you know, Toby Faletau coming off the bench is a British and Irish Lion. Our guy coming off the bench is not equivalent anything to that. You know? So, yeah, I genuinely think, Ronaldo. I mean, I'm shouting into the hills and going, we've got to be careful, because once Kirtley goes, if he goes, we're just going to start a whole new cycle of the next generation going. And then, as I said, there's a wonderful winger at Paul Jim, and there's a wonderful, lock at Armalua, and there's whatever, but gee, there always has been, and there always will be. But at the end of the day, we want to keep the cream playing every weekend together in our 4 franchises, or 5, or 6, or whatever franchises we have.
Jake, Harry told me to ask you. Red Zone was very good today. Pass out the back, but also hard in from outlines and just enough kicks. How close are you to playoff shape?
Tell Harry, I mean, he's obviously spot on that today, but it is also one of those games where we wanted to go through Cardiff. I mean, and the reason for that is because they're a very difficult side to get around. And that's probably why he picked up, short lines going through the middle. And we picked a team that could do that too, let's be fair. I mean, the pack weight's 940 kilograms. And so it allows us to play that style against a team like Cardiff. But, next week or the following week, depending on who we have to play against, we're going to have to rethink about, if they give you space on the edge, or if they're soft on the edge, then you need to pick a team that can exploit that. So he's 100% right. I mean, he's 100% spot on. It was direct. It was. I mean, you consider how many carries a guy like Kubas Visa had in the first 50 minutes. I mean, that just tells you something. There was obviously a design for him to hold on to the ball and carry it into those situations. So, yeah, I mean, he's spot on.
Jan Goosen?
Yeah. Geez, I feel for the guy, man.
Yeah. And then one last thing. Cameron seems to me, from a layman's point of view, to bulked up a little bit. Am I right, or is it not really?
Well, I hope you mean physically as in gym, and not the buffet
no,
story.
No. Some actually went the other way.
That's his birthday today. So
how old is he now?
He said to me he's getting old now. He's 22. Incredible, Yeah.
So Jake, the frustration with losing top 5 players comes down to money. We know this, but you've built a winner here.
Doesn't.
No?
Comes to the desire to want to play for your franchise in your country.
Fair enough.
Like everyone else.
Fair
There's
enough.
guys in New Zealand earning less than guys playing in France. There's guys playing in France that are earning less than guys playing in Japan. So it doesn't come to money.
Fair point. Despite that, you've built a winner here. You've got a winner. You have 2 finals, one Cape Town, one here at Loftus last year,
Yeah.
and you're brushing up against the top of the log again. You're doing something right here.
Yeah, I am, but I mean, I'd like to do more, to be honest. I don't want to get to finals and I know people are comparing apples with apples because South African sides like the Stormers also don't have their best players because overseas players. And yeah, it is nice to get to with what we have, but I suppose that's the frustration for me as well, because can you imagine, and I use the names of the Bulls players, I'm not even trying to buy anyone else, Ergia, Jesse, Jason Jenkins, all those guys, Andre Pollard, that were all here when I started here, and I'm talking about just before I left, they were all playing Super Rugby. So yeah, I mean, what I'm saying is that's the utopia of what I would like to have. I would like to play Leinster with 23 internationals. Are we doing well? Yes. I mean, I think sometimes we bat above our weight, and I do think as well, and I've got to be careful because I do think it does in some way help SA Rugby because there's guys like Sebastian Lombard get man of the match, and it does give a guy like, Jan Hendrik Wessels an opportunity to be man of the match against Glasgow. So there is a silver lining. But I go back to what I'm saying is that if you're a provincial coach and you coach in a country like this, surely you want to be able to, and maybe I'm also biased because I've coached the best players in the world. I would love a club side where I can have the best players in the world playing in a light blue jersey. That's what I'm asking for is not something that is unique in the game. So, yeah, I mean, as I said, I genuinely am just banging that drum because I know how much better we can be. And imagine, I mean, this is what I don't understand. Imagine having 4 powerful franchises. And again, it sounds like I'm not talking about Free State, but 4 powerful ones in the URC, plus a hell of a strong Free State side, plus a Puma side, that's where our rugby, I'm also old enough to know, and MV will know this because you guys are, but we had SV Adeer and we had Stellaland and we had, Noord-Kaap and our rugby was incredibly strong then as well without international rugby. So I generally don't think less is more. And a lot of countries go from 6 teams to 4 teams to 3 teams and I don't understand that because surely it's like schoolboy rugby. If you have 1,000 boys to pick from and the other school has 300 boys to pick from, chances are the 1,000 schoolboy team should always consistently be better.
So we're down to the final game in the URC,
Yep.
in the regular season.
Yep.
And then we move on. Are we going to see anything different this coming week or next game?
Look, I think one thing that I've got to just look at the injuries first and see, and also it'll also be dependent on what happens in the rest of the weekend. There's so many permutations. Benetton playing Glasgow, that has an impact on whether we can get ahead of them or can't get ahead of them. So I'll have a rethink on Sunday evening once all those games are finished and see whether the permutations are we can come second, and if we can, and then we'll have to we'll have to think about what is the way to make sure we give ourselves the best possible chance.
Thanks, Dick.
Oh, sorry, Simon.
Simon?
Yeah, thanks, Dick. I spoke to one of your assistant coaches some time ago while you were overseas, and you obviously had a very good run in the UK. So it's a fact. I want to catch on where Ken was. And one of the talking points was the Bulls were playing very good rugby in the UK for various reasons, apparently.
Well, maybe they all want to sign contracts there.
Besides the point.
They got all the scouts and all the agents there. It's easy. They can drink
talking
coffee in
about
the
that,
morning.
I've got a second thought about my
Yeah,
question.
yeah.
So and before today's game, I would have asked you what made the fact that it seems like when they come back here, they play under a different type of pressure. They play a different home side pressure. But today you've proved me wrong. I can't ask that question anymore. So
Yeah, look.
what's the answer?
No, you
to
know
that?
what, Simon? Again, without patting ourselves on the back, and it's not me. I'm saying the club. We've learned our lessons. We needed to play well overseas. We have, over the years, we've needed to be strong at the back end of the competition. We've fallen away in our standards at the back end of a competition in the last couple of years. through many different reasons. One is injury, one is no rotation of players, and on my fault. Remember, I've spoken to you many times that I should have maybe been a little bit more lenient in making changes. And I think that's why we're getting success now, because for Zach to play 80 minutes tonight didn't worry me, because Zach's had enough game times. For Keegan to go to 10 didn't worry me, because Keegan's played this season at 10 in big games. What I've probably done, and it's me specifically, we've probably just stuck with the same 9-10, 9-10, 9-10 for long periods of time in the last 3 years. And now I'm using those two guys as an example, but so with the other guys, you know, so with the props and the locks and so I think it's not just because, you know, tonight was different. I genuinely think that it's going to be, that's what my sort of my sort of plea to them is, that we mustn't go in our shells. We've changed the team for a reason, so that there will be energy and there will be excitement and there will be the fact that you're going to play as well as you can to win the tournament. And you know, you're right, tonight was another example of, you know, we changed the team, we put some guys in, we had to change Goosen after 12 minutes. I mean, and then the guy comes on and he looks like he's one of the season 10s of the competition. So that's just one example, you know. So I'm hoping now, as I said, we've got to be clever, and that goes into the question I was asked there, what do you do next week? I don't want to lose that momentum. I also don't want to go away from the fact that some guys need a break, and I'm talking about because if they've got bumps and bruises. So I'll only know when, and I'm using Bennett and Glasgow because they're the guys we're trying to chase, and I'm using, I suppose that'll be the only game that'll influence us in terms of where we are. The rest of the guys, I mean, I don't think can catch us, you know, so I'll basically have to make a decision on, and I'll also watch the Glasgow game and the Benetton game to see whether there's anything I pick up from Benetton that would help us either beat them or put them under pressure, as Benetton hopefully will do in certain parts of the game.
Last question about Kanan. You must be satisfied with Kanan. You spoke about the scare that Kanan had also with his head injuries.
Yeah, geez, I mean,
and he had a good game today.
Yeah, he's one of the, again, that's also why I was going to tell you when I got so emotional. He's also only 22 or 21, guys. So, I mean, we're sitting here with, how's he, you know, we've got a 22-year-old number 8, we've got a 24-year-old Lucid prop, we've got a 21-year-old. Now, it takes nothing away from them. They're talented kids, but can you imagine surrounding them with what I could surround them with, you know? So he's playing outstanding. I told him, now you're back to your best. You know, it's test windows coming up, and players are also, they know they need to play well now because the test windows start in a month's time. So I've got no doubt that it's also nice for me because everyone wants to be involved in the June test series. And so motivation from my side is not something that I'm putting a premium on, because I'd like to believe it's going to come from within.